Yes, Miss Alice.
All right. It's recording. Can we please get started?
Oh.
Okay. All right. So this is going to be number 31 for my advanced. Number 32. Sorry, number 32 for my advanced. It was 31 for my regular classes. We're all doing the exact same practice sheet tonight. All right. So make sure you've numbered that. Make sure it's in the correct place in your binder. All right. Here's the big thing. So last Friday y'all had a test. It was only 48 points. And part of this was on your test. That test, the biggest place that people made mistakes was not in the math. It was in the words. If it says ratio, if ratio is the only thing in my directions, a ratio has no words. Okay, so there's a little memory trick if that helps. If it just says ratio, then that means no words. Okay, you still got to write your sentence to explain. But in your fraction, if it is a ratio, no words, no measurements. Okay, so
we just have to write something.
If it says ratio, you write your fraction with no words, and then you explain it. Okay, ratio means no words. Okay, so on number 1, it says write a ratio as a fraction. So I'm going to write this fraction. Number 1, what's my fraction going to be? Holland? 10 over 25. Now, guys, I want you to be careful. It says write the fraction in simplest form. Guys, that means I'm simplifying. Does simplify mean get 1 on the bottom? No. This is the only time you don't got to get 1 on the bottom. But it's really important that we don't do that. Okay? So what am I going to do here, Joel?
You're going to divide by 5.
I'm going to divide them by 5 because 5 goes into them. I got that number from my brain. It has to be a math fact that I know. What does that give me as my new fraction? And Jacob? 2/5. Again, it's a ratio. Do I need words? No. All right. Now I need to write my explanation because it does say to explain. Now, guys, I want you to be careful because this is the type of explaining that we have trouble with. It says 10 girls in a class of 25. Students. So 10 girls in a class of 25 students. Does that mean in that class for every 10 girls, there are 25 extra students that they can stack by them? No, so I cannot say for every 10 girls, there are 25 students, which means I cannot say for every 2 girls, there are 25 students. You don't have enough students for that. Okay? So what would be a better way to word this description? Drew?
There are 2 girls in a group of 5 students.
There are 2 girls. I agree with that. The second part, I want worded a little bit different.
I was going to say there are 2 girls.
There's a certain phrase that we discussed. Jay? Not quite what I'm looking for. Brandon?
There are 2 girls out of 5 students.
Out of 5 students. All right. This is the way I want you to remember that.
Can you put out of 5 boys?
It says 5 students. Can I take 2 girls out of 5 boys? Doesn't really work out very well. Okay. So, all right. Guys, let's not be silly, okay? All right. Blend in. Towards this way, okay? All right. It says there are 2 girls out of 5 students. Because, guys, look at the sentence. It says 10 girls in a class of 25. If the 10 girls are in the class, can I take the 10 girls out of the class? So we're wanting to make sure we're using out of. This is not what we're going to use for every. If you can take them out of the group, it's out of. So again, like what Aaron was saying, guys, if I'm splitting the girls into a group of girls and a group of boys, that would not be a situation where I would say 2 girls out of 5 boys. That would be 2 girls for every 5 boys. Okay? Because they're 2 different things. All right? If I'm comparing apples and oranges, if I wanted to compare apples and oranges, is that going to be an out of statement or a for every statement? For every. Can I take apples out of oranges? You got a bucket of oranges. I can't pull apples out of that. I'm a math person, not a magician, okay? Guys, y'all are taking up y'all's homework time. I'm not trying to be silly. I'm trying to just prove a point and make sure we understand the statement, okay? If they are two different things, we cannot take it out of that because they're different. If it's a collection of one thing, and that collection has an item in it that I'm taking out, that's my out of, okay? We've done a lot of for every there are, for every there are, for every there are. Puppies and dogs, ducks and kittens, apples and oranges, sandwiches and milk. All right, I think that was one of your homework problems. If they are two different things, for every, there are. Fill in the blank. We have not seen out of a lot, so you're going to notice on these, there are a lot of out of. I want us to talk about them. I'm not going to work them out, just kind of talk about, make sure we know how to set them up. Number 7 says 7 striped ties, and it even says out of 21 ties. Why is that allowed to be out of? Joelle?
Because it's like in a collection.
It's in a collection. These striped ties came in the 21 ties. Do we agree? Like, some guy went to his drawer of ties, pulled out the 7 striped ones, left the rest there, okay? All right, number 3, says 12 golden retrievers out of 20 dogs. Why am I using out of here? Holland?
It's a collection of dogs.
Yeah, the 12 golden retrievers are a type of dog that I can take out of the 20 dogs. 8 red marbles in a jar of 32 marbles. Would this be out of or for every?
For every. Out of.
Evan, what do you think?
Maybe out of.
Why?
Because they're all marbles.
They're all marbles. Guys, if the 8 red marbles are in the jar, can I take them out of the jar?
Yes.
Okay. So my 8 red marbles are in this jar of 32 marbles. They're in there. I can take them out. This is going to be out of as well because red marbles are still marbles. So this would be an out of statement. All right, number 5, 6 roses in a bouquet of 21 flowers. Out of or for every? Jay? Out of. Why? They're both flowers. These roses are in the bouquet. So if someone has an allergy to roses, can I take them out of the bouquet? Yes, this is out of. All right, and then the last one, number 6, says 21 convertibles out of 75 cars. Why is this going to be out of, Hayden? Convertibles are cars. All 75 just don't happen to be a convertible. Okay? Number 1 on the next section, it says write each rate as a unit rate. Guys, this time it says the word rate, which means what to me? If it says the word rate, what do I have to remember, Jacob?
Words.
Words in my fraction.
Ye.
Yes, we need words in our fraction. This is not a ratio, which means 0 words. It is a rate, so we need our words. Okay, so on number 1, we're still going to start it the same. What's my fraction going to be on number 1? Joelle? 372 over 6. All right, guys, on the top, that's the only time it says to simplify. Does this say simplify? No, it says unit rate. So what does that mean I'm going to do? Bella? Divide by 6. We like these because we automatically know what to divide by. All right, so what do I get as that fraction, Jay? 62 over 1. What do I need to put with that, London?
I was going to say, on these, would you just like put the first one on top and the second one on bottom?
Yes. First one goes on top, second one goes on bottom. We don't want to change the order. The only time we change the order is on those word problem questions. Okay? Joelle?
62 letters in 1 minute.
Letters in 1 minute. So we do need those words there. All right? On the test that we had Friday, I did not say to explain. This time it says explain. All right, guys, my explanation is real short. It's 1 word. Who can tell me what is the word I'm looking for and put it in a sentence for me? Lexi? Per. And can you write that in a sentence for me?
There's 62 letters per 1 minute.
62 letters. And we're just going to put per minute because the 1 is implied. So I get 62 letters per minute. I'm going to double underline per because for every single one of those answers, I should see that word in your answer.
Could we do
Okay.
M-I-N with the dot?
I want the whole word. Okay. All right. That's 1 through 6 right there. Are we good? All right. numbers 1 through 3. All right, 1 and 2, guys, these are the charts. All you're doing is looking for a pattern. So on number 1, figure out what do you do to 25 to get to 225, do the same on top. What do I do to 9 to get to 27, do the same on top. I want us to look at number 3. Number 3 goes from 5 to 2. Guys, is there something I can multiply or divide by 5 to get 2? Not a whole number. But this doesn't give me any space, does it? On your test, I've given you charts with space. So what I want us to do, guys, we're just going to draw this chart out to the side. And I'm not going to draw it as neatly as they did. Instead, I'm going to write CDs on top, just like they have, CDs. And then on the bottom where it says total cost, I'm just going to put a dollar sign. So I'm shortening it a little bit. Okay. 5 and 40 is what's given to me. Remember, my whole issue was I didn't have enough space, right?
Yes.
So when I draw this chart, I'm going to give myself a couple of extra boxes just in case I need them. Okay? All right, are y'all okay with how I've redrawn that chart so I can actually work it out?
Yes.
All right, now again, we already know from looking here, I cannot go from 5 to 2. I'm just going to pull X. Cannot go from 5 to 2. So what is my next step? What is the next thing that I would try to do on one of my charts? Ryan?
You can divide 40 by 5 and 5. I mean, you can divide 40 divided by 5 and 5 divided by
5 and 40. Remember, this was a fraction, right? 5 over 40. If it's a fraction, then I can simplify it. What number will go into 5 and into 40, Kaylee? 8. If it helps you to write it as a fraction up here to remember, that's all we're doing is simplifying. Oh, not 8, sorry. 5. 5 will go into those. All right. So we're dividing them by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 40 divided by 5 is 8. Okay. All I've done is I've simplified. In fact, normally in class what we would do. That's exactly what we're doing. We're just making that 1, just like what we did yesterday, really. It's just not necessarily on the bottom, right? So now if I look at the 1, what am I going to do to 1 to make it a 2, Aaron?
Multiply by 2.
Times 2, and if I do it on the top? Do it on the bottom, so times 2. So what do I get as that answer, Jay? 16. Okay, so that's my answer that I'm looking for. Remember, guys, if I'm given like a written out question in a word problem like this, I want to write out a good answer. What would be a good answer if it says he decides to go back in the sale and buy 2 more CDs? How much will he pay? Give me a good sentence for that, Kaya. He has to pay $16 for 2 more CDs. Excellent. And your sentence was really good. She said, Adrian, and he went back to the sale. That was a great sentence, Kaya. Perfect. All right. Questions about those? Chart, look for the patterns. Okay? Fill in the missing spots. All right. The next part, guys, this is really important. On the test, this is where people lost the most points, and it was the easiest thing. Why do you think people lost the most points here? Drew?
Because either they just overthought it, or maybe it's just because they didn't write out the word like sentences.
The words. You were on it. You were close. Guys, this says ratios or rates. If you see the word rates, you need words every time. Okay? Since this says rates, I need words.
What if it says rates
Right.
and it says don't write like names?
That's not going to happen. All right. Number 1. What am I going to do first for number 1 here? Michael?
You're right.
8 over 10. Okay? There's my ratio. But we're going to be changing that to a rate. What am I going to do to change that, JC?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 10. Oh, I honestly thought you said 10. So, divide by 10. Guys, does it say simplify up here, JC? If it doesn't say simplify, use the denominator, okay? That's kind of a good little rule to remember. All right? So what do I get when I divide that? Drew?
0.8 over 1.
0.8 over 1. What am I missing? Words. All right, someone help me with my words. What words are going to go in there? Raise your hand, please. Aaron? What words are going to go in there? Evan?
On 0.8, it'll be boys that play sports, and then 1 will be boys.
All right, so 1 is boys. That's short. I'm going to write that. And 0.8, you said boys that play sport. I'm going to be a little lazy, Evan. I'm just going to write play a sport. Because it's over the 1 boy, I know that that's the out of, right? So 0.8, play a sport out of 1 boy. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but we're not trying to see if it makes sense. We're trying to see if they are equal. So there's a difference there. So you know they're equivalent. All right, what am I going to do next? Joelle?
25 and 30.
25 over 30. And yes, Joelle, we're going to divide by 30. Excellent. All right, what does that give me when I do that one? Ryan?
0.8333333.
So how am I going to write that?
0.8 is repeated 3.
0.8 with a repeated 3, which means we just put a line over it, over 1. All right, what do I still need with that? What do I still need to go with that, Bella? Words. So I'm going to use those same words, guys. It's boys on the bottom, play a sport on top. All right, now for our answer. Are these equivalent? Don't forget to explain. Kaya? No. And then she said they're not equal. All right, that's all we're looking for there. No, they're not equal. All right, please make sure you do number 2. I'm leaving that one for you to do. Make sure you do number 2. Write your words, write your sentence. All right, on the back, at the top, 3, 4, and 5. All of these are they equivalent? We already did one of those. So I'm going to move down here to the bottom where it says answer each question using a ratio or rate. It's a word problem. Is there a chart? No, which means we can work these like we did yesterday. Just do your division, do your multiplication. Okay? On number 1, it says a class survey showed 8 out of 25 students had plans to travel over spring break. How many students of the 400 in the entire school would you expect to travel over spring break? How do I know what to put at the bottom? How do I know what to put at the bottom, Jonah? The thing that's in the question. It says 400 in the question, and that's talking about students. So that's what I put at the bottom. Remember, we don't have to keep the order here. We look at the question. Make sure you look at the question. So when I set up my 8 and 25, because that's what was at the beginning, when I set up 8 and 25, what order is that going to go in? Jay? Remember, it says students.
Oh.
Yeah. So since it asked me about students, that 25 students has to go on the bottom because that's what we're going to end up changing to a 1 so that we can then make it a 400. That's our whole goal here. So make sure students is on the bottom. All right, so now what am I going to do, Aaron?
Divide by 25.
Excellent. Divide by 25. All right, what does that give me in my calculator, Aaron? Go ahead.
0.3 over 1.
0.332 over 1. All right, and now what do I need to do from here? Brandon? Multiply by 400. Guys, remember that bottom was talking about my students. We want to change my students to 400. So what does that give me? Dylan? 128 over 400. Guys, in my directions, y'all see where it says rates? So in this fraction, I'm going to put words again. Guys, pretty much, you know, we put words with everything except for the very first part. All right. So 400 was talking about students. What is the 128 talking about? Joelle?
The classes?
Lexi?
Have plans to travel.
The ones that have plans to travel. So I'm just going to put travel there. They're the ones that are going to be traveling. All right. He had like a bunch of sentences in that question, so I'm going to make sure I answer with just one really good sentence. Give me a sentence to go with this. Maddie.
We can expect 128 students to travel over spring break out of 400 students.
You can expect 128 And I'm just going to put my out of at the beginning, out of 400 students to travel over spring break. All right. Maddie, your sentence was great as well. Just typically, if we were going to word that, we would go ahead and put this 128 out of the 400 together. If you do put it at the end, I won't count off for that. All right. Are there any questions about number 1? Yes, Jay? Okay. What I want you to do, guys, so today, as I was working this, I noticed that number 3 says Kelly exercises 4 days a week. How many days will pass before she exercises 16 times? When they worded this, that should have said how many weeks. Instead of having you change this, because I honestly forgot to tell my other classes, all right, we're going to mark out number 3, and that's why I wanted to record this lesson so I can send the video out saying mark out number 3 for my people at home. Mark out number 3. Okay.
Half the people will watch the video.
I know.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm in this period because I would not have